This is at Trustworthy Slav.
This is at Incognito, COH.
CRK, Black Dot Compilled.
This is the Fed Post.
It's getting bad. I mean, I thought I was the only one feeling like it was getting worse, but like after COVID,
dude.
like it's just getting crazy. And like I said, the culture war will have to get worse after the economy crashes.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that in 2019. And like, I mean, I'd say it's true, but like,
dude, it's been heating up over just the past 6 months when we've been entering this insane inflation. I mean, you want to talk about the goddamn Roe versus Wade? You want to talk about the schism? You want to talk about? I mean, dude, all of this shit. I don't know. It's fucking crazy. I went to this is unrelated, but still related actually. I filled up on my way home after work at the gas pump today, dude. I paid $4.48 a gallon. I almost had a heart attack when I looked at how much I paid for gas. I haven't gotten gas in like a month or something. Dude, it went up so much in just a fucking month. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Bro, rookie numbers, $5.60 for me.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, dude. I pulled up and my girlfriend was out of the house today, so I couldn't snag the Costco card from her. Because Costco's like significantly cheaper, right?
Oh,
so
dude,
I'm like,
Costco's
right.
yeah.
Well, dude, Costco. I mean, again, dude, Costco is the American communist aesthetic. I pull up to the pump and I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I'll fill up here. It's whatever. And I don't even look at the fucking sign because it's like I don't need to be reminded of the pain. But like I'm getting just a couple gallons in. It's already breaking like $30. I'm like, all right, we're just gonna do a third of a tank because this is too much. And I'll just fill up at Costco in a day or two. But it's brutal, man. It's fucking brutal. And again, a fucking layup, dude. Hey, dude, you just got back. You're tuning into whatever narrow media sphere that you tune into to grasp at some sense of self in this weird vacuum that you live in now. And you just had a very real and immediate experience with how fucking shitty it is to pay fucking $75 to $100 to fill up your fucking car, right? And what are we going to talk about now? Oh, we're going to talk about irresponsible bougie cunts that want to be able to abort a kid a day before he's born. Or we're going to talk about obviously deranged people teaching your children, getting furious about deranged shit they're saying. And again, last episode, I said, again, neither of those issues, well, okay, the late-term abortion is a legitimate issue. But, abortion rights and education reform are not like illegitimate issues, right? But like, are we really just going to skim over the absolutely reckless behavior of the Fed the last 2 years, fucking inflation, fucking interest rates going up, are we ever going to be able to buy fucking houses? No. Let's just get pissed at, bro. Why would I ever even watch a fucking TikTok in the first place?
Yes,
I don't.
that's what I'm saying,
God
bro.
damn.
Hey, yes, hell yeah, yo, this is good energy from Slav. I like this. This is tight. No,
I
for real,
contain
man.
multitudes. And it's just like, and it fucking pisses me off because it still is like, I fucking care about the fucking education shit, dude. I still fucking do. It matters, dude. Like, I legitimately think, like, I believe in a pretty high level of like gender essentialism, dude. There's a fucking huge biological substrate that informs all of these social roles that we assume based on gender. I meet the base points with that shit, dude. But again, maybe we can fucking talk about that shit. I'm gonna sound like
dovetail it in with some other shit too, bro.
I'm gonna sound like the fucking. Maybe we can talk about that when we're not facing fascism, champ. You remember that shit?
Yeah. But you're saying the opposite, though. You're saying like because she was saying, oh, the hysterics. The cultural hysterics are like more important than everything else. And you're kind of saying the opposite.
Yeah. I just again, I don't, I'm not sending my fucking kid who's not even born yet to fucking public school to get indoctrinated right now, but I am getting fucked in the ass.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
2 hours ago.
Yes, bro.
Come on,
and everyone is getting fucked in the ass too. And not everyone has kids, and not everyone is even worried. Like obviously CRK is not worried about it. But he's worried about goddamn gas. I'm worried about. I mean, he's maybe not worried about gas because he's a coastal elite.
But listen, this shit, you fucking New York. Yeah, I was about to say this is the one dub I got for being in New York.
And you're worried about groceries and shit and stuff that's down. Like
it doesn't matter. Yo, it doesn't matter if the gas thing doesn't affect me or the kid thing doesn't affect me. It's again, if it affects other people, it's going to trickle down to affect me. Okay, that's again, it's what I said before. It is selfishness at the end of the day. If all you guys get fucked out there because of economic things, that shit ripples out to me eventually.
Yeah,
of course it does.
And gas is an easy one, right? Because I mean, I have a buddy who I know will listen to this, and so I say this with love. I love you, brother. But like, you know, he's really into honestly like prepping and food independence, right? Which is awesome, right? That's fucking awesome, right? When we have Seneca on again, that's in my mind one of the primary things we're going to talk to him more about, right? Because that's great. I know that's something COH talks about a lot, but you know, he's talking about like, oh, we were talking the other day, you know, food shortages, gas. It's not really going to affect me all that much. No, of course that's going to fucking affect you, bro. Like I don't care if you're not driving because you're not going to a lot of places, but like
your food's driving. Your
food's fucking driving, man. And like you aren't supporting yourself diet wise on the stuff that you're producing right now. You possibly could in the future, but even then, dude, like all of it is connected, and it's not an easy feat to get completely disconnected. Now, that's all I have to say on that. I mean, as far as people, you know, talking shit on us for just focusing on the economic immediate order of operations, as COH said recently, which was good. I will say right now, the only fucking leg that anyone actually has to fucking stand on, as far as just this like shitting on the class reduction economic shit first, because I'm not a fucking crypto dem. You can't say that in good faith towards me. You can suck my fucking balls if you try to say that about
ballot receipts.
Yeah, you really can't. You really can't. The only fucking leg you have to stand on is that we don't meet your weird little myopic bourgeois need for novelty, need for something fresh every fucking time. And honestly, if that is as big a priority as it is for you, you're fucking brainwashed and you're a fucking consumerist zombie.
Absolutely.
If they would sit down and just be honest about it and just be like, listen, bro, I just don't think that we can do anything about the economic stuff. So I'm giving up on that. And I'm just worried about this cultural shit. I would even respect that to a degree and be like, all right, maybe let's have a conversation. Cause like, at least like that's where you're at with it. But instead it's just like, no, like this is the really important shit right here. And all this other shit, no one even wants to hear about it. Yeah. You know, whatever. It's like, dude, everyone's worried about that shit. This is the populism thing. Like,
you know who I respect that in? It honestly is the religious right, because they basically got it made. As I mean, they don't fully, but like as far as like the material needs go, I mean, like talking to Bennett, right? Like,
right.
No, man, like they do provide for each other, dude. And like I dated a girl a few years ago who was really, really, really religious in her upbringing, right? And like one thing that blew my mind is, dude, the second your kid fucking, you know, you can have a really great upbringing and all of that, but you know, the second they like leave the nest, like, yeah, this culture of degeneracy that they're surrounded, like the barbarians at the gates are banging on your door to foist onto your kids. Bro, that shit has a huge effect. And so, yeah, I mean, like, if you do have this little cloistered existence in your community, yeah, I mean, like really prioritizing the cultural well-being of the society you're a member of really does make sense to me as far as a priority. But I mean, we have to be honest that, I mean, we're talking about a pretty limited scope of people here.
And also, to be fair, I know a fuckload of poor-ass, struggling-ass Christians, dude. My family was that. Everyone I grew up around was that. You know, I mean, if you're all poor, you can't. It's hard to look out for each. You can try to look out for each other, but like, it's not like. I
mean, looking out for each other
you know, I mean, you have to look out for each other, but it's not like you got a built-in safety net. It's like the reason why everyone's looking out for each other there is because no one's got a safety net, and so it's like.
Well, I will say there's it links up a little bit with the mutual aid thing that the leftists would talk about of like, oh, we're doing mutual aid, like we'll help each other out or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. That's
offerings
like
and
charity. Yeah, that's all. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, and it's a good like human thing to do and collectivist mindset and all that. But at the end of the day, like that shit can't push back against the tide of like the rate the things are increasing is insane. The rate of everything going up is insane. Even before this inflation shit is just insane. And that rate, you know, there's no amount of like GoFundMe's and like you know, carpooling that can combat that tide. You know what I mean? You can mitigate to a degree and like you can help each other out. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but again, I sort of hear that mutual aid thing again from the leftists when I hear about like, oh, we'll just go and like, you know, help each other with the church or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's cool, but like
mutual aid is like church charity for leftists. Like that's what it is. They don't have that. That's what the NGO like complex is too. That's one thing that I realized, like having grown up in the South in the Bible Belt, you don't really see a lot of nonprofits. I feel like not like as strong of a presence because the church is holding that shit down. They're holding down the nonprofit game. But you go somewhere that's more secular, like in New York, I guess, or Denver's where I was living, that's more like that. Nonprofits fucking are running amok. And there's no churches anywhere. It's just the same thing. The same thing goes with mutual aid. It's just those are kind of the same flip sides of the coin. And they're good instincts. Like it's great. That's a good thing. Those are good support systems. It's just like we need something as a collective whole because we are all part of a goddamn nation. We're a part of a country, right? We're part of the goddamn United States of America. And we have a constitution. We've got a military. We've got shit. We're here. We've got a state. Why don't we like actually just try to have shit that's worked out for us? And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, I lost my train of thought and I got frustrated. No. Yeah, sorry. We shouldn't have to rely on mutual aid and fucking church charities, bro. Like, we got a goddamn country. What the fuck are we doing? We got institutions and shit, dude. What are we doing?
That's a fact, bro. Shit. That's a fact, bro. And I didn't think of this when Bennett was talking to us, but like, yo, man, they're sending fucking billions to the fucking Ukraine. They're sending fucking billions to these fucking Wall Street fucks and these big tech fucks with the COVID bailouts and everything. Fuck that shit, man. Why the fuck we got to do mutual aid and like cross charity shit? Why the fuck we got to do that? Why? We have a government that's taking our tax money to send over to their rich friends and their defense contractors. Fuck that, man. Fuck that. I don't accept that. I don't accept that. And look, I understand there's a difference between like idealism and practicality, whatever. Yeah, you got to move as a pragmatist, assuming that you have to operate that way. I understand that. But as long as we're talking about politics in the abstract, no fucking way. I'm not conceding that. I'm not. Like, fuck that shit, man. That is the number one thing, and I can't tolerate much else besides that. The number one thing is that they're fucking sending all this money and printing all this fucking money to these fucks, and it should be going to fucking us. You know what I mean? They work. They're our government. They're supposed to work for us. And I'm not a libertarian. I don't think any of us are. I don't think any of us believe in like
no, dude.
Dissolving the government entirely. Right? We're not like that. So it's like that government is their bitch, is their elite's bitch. They should be our bitch. That's what it is.
Yes.
That's really what it is. And like, there's only, the mechanism to how to get them to submit that way, we can debate that mechanism, but that's really the way I view it. Like, they should be working for us. And it sounds like a cliche or whatever, but like, yo, man, I don't give a fuck that they're supposed to do that. That's their fucking job. So,
or at the very least, I want some goddamn concessions, bro. Like, if we don't have the dictatorship of the proletariat and they're not working for us, at least do the thing that the state's supposed to do and mitigate, bro. Mitigate between the wants and needs of the ownership class and the workers. Fucking mitigate. That's
at least let's get some crumbs. At least let's get some sense that they're even slightly afraid of us.
Yes.
Instead of acting so brazenly in front of us, like brazen, like with the masks off and their masked servants and like parties and all this shit. Like, bro, they're brazen, and it's like there's not an ounce of fear. I don't expect them to be like fucking I don't expect the dictatorship of the proletariat. I really don't. But like, bro, if there's a spectrum of how much they fear us and don't fear us, we're tipped over way too far. Like they don't they don't act at all like they give like a single fuck about like there'll be any retribution for what happens to them for what they do. And that's the problem. There needs to be more. And again, this is going to transition to the mass shooter conversation. Not as
oh no!
Oh my god! Don't make that transition.
Well,
Christ! I was just about to say. Actually, how about we put pause on that real quick?
Well, let me just say
it, brother.
The mass shooters are wrong, right? They're doing it wrong. They're doing the thing wrong. They're misguided. But their anger is, I think, related to what we're talking about in our frustration. But I know Slav, you want to say something before we?
I was just going to say the only pushback that I'll give about mutual aid is that we're skimming over one little thing, which is mutual aid. Really, really, really important for coalition building. Okay, Huey Long built roads for all those shit kickers to get incorporated into the political machine. Right. Going out and doing the community work for a church and feeding people, getting food on a plate to them. That's straight up good old fashioned politics right there. And so, yeah, I mean, we don't want to limit our political ambitions to just being like, oh man, like a cheese sandwich on a paper plate to people is the height of political action. No, of
the
course.
Fire Island dish. Yeah,
you gotta be trying to take care of people in the here and now, though, before you start trying to like you have to do that. You have to go out and make a difference in people's lives right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, first of all, I don't want anybody to fucking starve to death, so that's its own issue, right? And then, secondly, nobody likes to point it out in a cynical way because it kind of detracts from the charity aspect of it. But the guy who owes you for that sandwich, maybe he pays you back with a vote at the ballot box. Okay. And that's good shit, dude. That's good shit.
No, I agree.
That's how I want politics framed.
It's patronage, baby. It's what it is.
It's exactly right. So that's what I'm saying there. But I'm down to talk about some mass shooters.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'll just add to that. Like, I completely agree. And that's why the Huey Long stuff, like, really is like a model.
I would argue, though, I have pushback. I don't think the Huey Long thing is mutual aid.
I was about to say that because he's government. He's not. Mutual aid is like all citizens and civilians forming a network amongst themselves without the government. But Huey Long was a politician, so. Like, that's what I mean of like our politicians need to fear us. Like I wouldn't say that he feared us, but he was just like he needed us. He needed some constituency, just like Caesar did. Like all these people. That's what I'm talking about. Like maybe I shouldn't say fear, but like we need some type of fucking deal brokering type of thing going on. We need something like that, some leverage, some arrangement where they need us for something. But so far we haven't had anyone come around that needs us for anything. And I think a big way to build that demand is to stop consenting to the fucking existing two-party bullshit that's already there. Stop consenting to it. I mean, COH made this point a way back when I used to argue to vote for Trump and he was saying no. But I thought Trump was different. But like either way, I think COH's overall point is right. We need to stop fucking consenting to this thing. And then they'll open up an even bigger chasm for someone to come through and be like, yo, look at all this fucking opportunity. I mean, Seneca is already like a small version of that, you know what I mean? But like somebody else can come through and seize that opportunity and just be like, yo, look at all this fucking raw constituency that's untapped into, and I can take them and use them. I just have to break them off this little crumbs here and there, and they'll belong to me. Like I'm down for that. I'm down for an arrangement like that. I don't need some idealist like dictatorship of the proletariat. I'm down for something like that. Like somebody to cynically use us because we're jaded from the existing thing and we get a better deal. I'm totally down for that. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm down for that in the sense that I'm like, as a pragmatist, I think that's probably what's most immediately attainable. But I mean, obviously I just still don't, that's not, if we're talking ideals, that's not an ideal, obviously, for me. But I mean, like we said, ideal world and real world kind of thing. I just want to goddamn be able to afford gasoline and food, dude. I mean, fuck, I don't care what it takes now.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like the GOP and the DNC both consent to those bailouts. You know, it's like what Bog had said before of like, there's certain things that you can't vote out because they both do it. And like they do these bailouts for Wall Street, big tech, and COVID, and Ukraine. Like they're both complicit in it. So it's like, you know, the only way to break that is to eject from that system, and then somebody will come along and be like, no, I'll actually not vote for that. And then boom, you got a fucking avenue. You got somebody there who bargain with you and cut you something. You know what I mean? But like we need to have higher standards. I just think, you know, everybody's going to put their standards of idealism differently, but I think the GOP and DNC is putting it too low. It's too low. I mean,
of course it is. And I think we were talking about Seneca here for a second. And I think it ties back to what you were saying before the mass shooting segue. He mentioned the difference between demands and requests, kind of. And I think that's something like, I think that we've been throwing around a bunch of quote unquote demands that have just been requests for too long. And at some point in time, you got to reconcile what actually is a demand and that it comes with a cost, and that asking doesn't, like he said. And you got to, you know, understand when to use what as far as tactics and within your strategy.
Yeah, I want an independent who will come in and who will across the board never vote for any of these fucking bailouts again. Who will just like that's my bare minimum. Like do not fucking vote for Ukraine bailouts or COVID bailouts or whatever the fuck is going on, or Wall Street bailouts. Like that's my bare like threshold. Like that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like that's the demand, and I'm not going to vote for anybody until I hear that. I really am not.
No, I'm sorry, man. We can't have that until we have someone, until we have the dictatorship of the proletariat, or a political figure that is completely in favor of executing all women that have ever had abortions.
Yeah, we either need
law.
Listen, man. I want an end to bailouts too, but you know, we first we need to agree on executing all public school teachers.
We need Sharia law or what is it? Like gay Marxism, cultural revolution, color revolution, or whatever the fuck. Like we need either one of those. That's my only options, right? Like, I mean,
I don't really want either of those things.
Yeah,
I think no regular people do. That's what I think is like the real problem with tying yourself to any of that bullshit, any type of set political faction or ism or whatever, is that no regular people want that. Regular people that exist in the actual world are fluid individuals. They try to take what comes to them and make sense with it within the scope of what they have. And, you know, sometimes you have to make compromises here and there in order to just do. And I think that like that's the general scope of most individuals, and they're not trying to do some stupid ass bullshit. They're not trying to, you know, wear some kind of red badge on their arm or wear some sort of green beret or fucking whatever. They just want to do normal shit and be able to afford to exist, dude. And they don't need to be tied to any particular thing. They just want to see whatever comes in front of them that offers that, and then they'll look into it and they'll probably go for it. I mean, I know that's what I think that, like, intellectually, I think that ultimately, like, we're going to just be beating our heads up against the wall until we reach some sort of state where maybe there is some form of a dictatorship of the proletariat of some degree. Not that directly, but of some degree, you know, maybe not in the classical sense, but some degree. I think that will ultimately just always be coming back to these same problems. But here's the fucking deal. Right now, I just want to fix some of the problems I'm facing immediately. So I just want to see some different shit right now. And so I'm not tying myself to, it's got to be, you know, the most like Leninist motherfucker, you know, that wants to do this shit. Because ultimately, I don't really know that like that would really turn out much better because I've never seen it in action. I just want to see some different shit that's better for me as an individual and the people I love and my family.
Yeah, I want, you know, and we've said this before, but people should be more like have more confidence in the things that are important to them. Like have more confidence in it. Do not just like be swayed by, don't be so impressionable. Don't be swayed by like, I'm supposed to care about this shit that I didn't really care about a couple months ago. You don't have to fucking care about it. You don't. You know what I mean? You don't have to work yourself up over it if it doesn't matter to you. If it's not in your fucking daily life, not affecting you, and you feel like, nobody cares about that shit. Whatever, man. Like have some fucking, you know, grasp on what's actually happening around you, and that is important. That is fucking important. Your family or whatever. That shit is important. So like, don't, just, I don't know. I just wish people would have more conviction about that. But
dude, I'm like at work. I'm just like at work the other day, and somebody just acts like totally fucking inappropriate, just like having a complete meltdown, just like not appropriate, right? At work about just dumb shit. And I'm like talking to somebody just like, yeah, I mean, like, what's the deal? And this other person's response is just being like, oh, like morale's pretty low right now, Roe versus Wade, things are tough. And it's like, dude, like,
I don't give a fuck.
Your like your emotional state like should have nothing to do with political outcomes or anything. Let me know when half the country gets nuked. Then you can like have a meltdown at work or something. You know what I mean? Like, shut the
real.
fuck up. We're in Washington. No one is taking away your ability to get a fucking abortion. You're going to come into work and have a fucking meltdown on somebody because some broad in Georgia can't have an abortion. Like, it doesn't even...
Bro, for real. Yeah, I've seen that in liberal offices, like people freaking out about like Lev Parnas, like all these leaks. Like, this is so stressful. Like they're freaking themselves out. It's like, bro, what does this have to do with your daily life? Like, what you're working yourself up into a frenzy about some shit that doesn't affect you because it's on the fucking timeline. Like, bro, I'm sorry. Like I'm pro-choice. I'm generally pro-choice. I'm sorry. I don't really give a fuck what they do with Roe v. Wade. I'm sorry. I'm selfish. I know it's selfish, but I don't really give a fuck. If they want to fucking ban abortion or whatever, I'm sorry. This shit doesn't really, it's not the main thing on my fucking mind right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And you know what I mean? Like, and the school thing of these pedo teachers or whatever, I don't know how real it is. I have no idea what's going on there. I'm sorry. That shit is just not a priority to me. It really isn't. And like, I don't know. I mean, I know that upsets everybody, but like, I don't know, man. I'm going to be more focused on like what the fuck actually is tangibly important to me and people I care about. That's it. I don't give a fuck about any of this other bullshit. I really don't. And like, I'm not saying that we should never talk about it. I'm just saying that like,
no, bro, I get that. I think I was thinking this other day, and I was thinking like, for me, I feel like Twitter has been such a trap. And I think that for people who are intellectually curious and thinkers, it ultimately is because it just like you were saying a few episodes ago, CRK, you open a timeline and you start strolling and you see 40 different threads about 40 different topics you've never even like been too concerned about. And next thing you know, you're seeing all your timelines talk about this one thing that has nothing to do with you or your life. But then you're like,
and now
now I gotta goddamn think about it and reply about it. And now I'm thinking about all this stupid fucking bullshit. Dude. Shit that I've never even thought about and shouldn't. No one needs to.
Just never forget seed oils. Just never forget seed oils, okay?
Yeah. No, it's so true, man. It really is true. Like, I'll find myself like trying to ignore something that's trending, and then I'll just find myself like, I guess I gotta say something. Like, you're baited into commenting on something. Like, someone says something too crazy, you're like, all right, now I gotta say something. It's like, bro, I don't even really give a fuck about this thing. I don't really give a fuck about this. Why am I talking about this? It is a trap. It's a fly trap. It's like they're trying to drive you insane or whatever. But
I feel like I'm generally like a pretty curious person intellectually, and I like to like try to understand how people are thinking and feeling so I can better understand the people around me in my life and, interact with the world on a more well-rounded basis. But so I try to like understand where people are coming from. If someone says something that I think is crazy, I'd like to see maybe what's turning those wheels to make you think that crazy thing. But I think now you don't need to look into that shit. If someone says some crazy shit, they're saying crazy shit because they're fucking crazy. You know what I mean? No, you don't need to parse it out, because I find myself just trying to like, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I can see like why they thought this thing, it's wrong, but like, yeah, I could see how you get to this. So, and then it's just like, you just do that nonstop, and it's like, I don't know, you just start thinking about a bunch of crazy, stupid bullshit and being like, I mean, I guess it's justified somewhat. I mean, but fuck it.
Yeah. We're sounding very offline pills. It's definitely like the vibe I feel, just like,
oh shit, that's not novel enough, is it?
Yeah. just feeling like not being online, like I don't know, it's like cobwebs cleared of just like not, and I can feel myself. I know SLAV has talked about this before, and I remember him saying this, like, we're all like lurk a little or like scan things, and I can feel myself getting angry and like driven to say something like, oh, this person said something and it's like triggering me. It's like, it's all to bait the algorithm. It's all to bait, like, oh, you interacted with it and now someone else is going to interact with it. Like if you say something, normal, you're not going to get enough interactions. So
their algorithm is fucking evil. Sorry.
Yeah, man, it's evil shit. And it's baiting me. And then like, I feel myself getting pulled to it and I have to like tell myself, no, just look away. Do the Tyler the Creator thing. Just turn the screen off and walk away. Like that's all you got to do. Like, but yeah.
And with a little bit of distance like that too, it becomes a lot easier to be able to do that. It's almost like with it's almost like with meditating, right? Or like with meditating, it's like if you can get yourself into a meditative practice and you can start actually getting into a space where you can clear your mind, you can start at seeing the thoughts that you have as thoughts that you can let just pass through without engaging with. And so when you see these negative, crazy things come up, you're just like, oh, I don't need to deal with that. Why would I deal with that? No, that's just going to be, we're letting that one pass through. We're not ignoring it. We're just letting it pass through. And then it's also kind of like if you stop, if you stop eating fast food or you stop smoking cigarettes or whatever, and like a month or two goes by and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm here at a fast food restaurant. You don't even really want to eat the food, or someone hands you a cigarette and you take a puff of it and you're like, oh, I kind of want to throw up right now. Because you have that distance and you're like, this shit's fucking disgusting. What are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, I mean, shit.
Exactly. And well, yeah, I mean, we can go to the mass shooters thing. I mean, I just
these people are sick.
Hey, dear mass shooters, how about you log off? Have you considered that?
That's what we're saying, basically.
Touch some flipping grass.
Touch some grass. Yeah, touch grass. Take a breather. That's basically what we're saying. Yeah, that's mad funny.
I like the idea that like there's all these like would-be mass shooters, and they just have all these bitches around them, just like desperate to throw pussy at them. But they just can't
it's
get
like
off
the
internet.
meme with the girl yelling at the chat whose back is turned to. Like, babe, please stop writing your manifesto about shooting people. And it's like, I can't, babe. There's 6 people in my Discord right now.
Sorry, babe. I can't fuck you raw right now. I need to go shoot up a bunch of old black church ladies.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's funny because I feel like we're organically getting to their first half combo of like, talking about the online psychosis. But it really does kind of tie into the mass shooter thing. And I mean, all I'll say is like, I mean, obviously the thing that's in the news right now when we're recording this is the Buffalo shooter thing. But there's been other mass shooters before.
Bro, there was like the other one that happened the next day. That was a Taiwan. It was a Chinese dude that shot up all these Taiwanese people at a Taiwanese church because he thought they didn't have a valid claim to be in Taiwan or something.
The next thing is going to be some fucking Russian guy shooting up a Ukrainian church. Yeah. It's going to be everybody we're not supposed to like.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know about that, but
these
I know
things
domestically,
come day after the next now, dude.
Yeah, domestically there was the Brooklyn subway shooter that happened around me.
Mm-hmm. And there was a shooter in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that one didn't get any airtime though because it didn't fit any narrative, right? Because that was a racially motivated shooting, but it was black on white, so of course they immediately put a lid on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say when you look at the amount of mass shootings, there's a mass shooting like every day in America, right? Like, isn't that the numbers? Like, there's one like literally every day. I mean, what gets airtime and what doesn't is obviously all political.
Yeah, I mean, it also to be fair, because I'd go crazy if I didn't push back a little bit. It's also because like the what constitutes as a mass shooting was expanded like insanely under Obama, right? Yeah. It's just, and like if we want to talk about what gets airtime and what doesn't, it's like, bro, like the vast majority of these mass shootings every day is like black on black crime. And I'm not trying to be like based racist right winger online or something, like, not that there's anything wrong with that to our listeners that meet that criteria. But it's just like, I mean, it's a fucking statement of fact. That's the shit that's being left to wither on the vine with
and they're not even like traditional mass shootings. They just do that in order to like, plump up the stats too. It's like
3
one dude shoots 3 people on the street corner,
exactly.
And then they have previous beef and shit that's involved. It's got nothing to do with a mass shooting, but they're like, 2 mass shootings happened today in the lower south side of Chicago. And you're like, all right.
It's like what you see with how sexual assault discourse was, right? Of like Bill Murray pats some temp on the butt on set. And we're going to talk about this in the exact same way that like Harvey Weinstein raping women was, you know what I mean? Whereas it's like, somebody walking in and, shooting up 30 whatever happened with like Stephen Paddock. Well, that's a horrible example. I don't know why I'm talking about Las Vegas.
Which one is Stephen Paddock?
Stephen Paddock was the fucking fall guy for the Las Vegas stuff. But yeah, I picked the absolute worst example. But anyways, it's just like they flatten the language so that these topics get talked about in this weird universalized way that doesn't actually acknowledge the huge gaps in these examples. But anyways,
I mean, well, the rate of them happening with like a guy who's like got a manifesto or like, shooting up a school or whatever. I mean, I feel like it's
still too high.
It's still unreal.
Well, it's undeniably been on the rise. I mean, that's like, I feel like, I mean, if you want to separate that from like gangland shootings or whatever, like
just when we're talking about mass shootings every day, you have to mention what constitutes a mass shooting and what makes up some of those.
And like that's why they can say that's quote mass shootings happen every day, because they don't we've gone 3 or 4 weeks without a mass shooting, which is not good. There should be way more time, right?
There's not like manifesto related school shootings every day. That's not a thing that happens.
Right.
But they happen way too much.
And honestly,
every day.
And again, like I kind of think that shit, like nobody carries out domestic acts of terror at a higher rate than the fucking FBI does. Okay, so and that's the other thing that needs to be talked about is like, well, I mean, I think that's probably the bread and butter of this fucking topic that we're gonna eventually get to, but like, Las Vegas, fucking Pulse nightclub, like this shit glows, dude. This shit fucking glows. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I have a different take on it. Like I know everybody's saying that the Buffalo thing glows and the
it's hitting every fucking criteria for shit that they want banned or limited. Every aspect of the narrative is like a Fed's wet dream.
I know. I guess, this kind of relates to our debates over like AstroTurf of like civil unrest and everything and Jan 6 or whatever. Like I don't really lean into the idea of like, it just seems weird to me that like literally all these things that keep happening and like at an increasing rate of just general like violence and unrest and domestic terrorism is all just glowy shit. Like, I don't know. To me,
dude, it's externalities of a sick fucking culture and a sick.
That's what I'm saying though. It's like I don't want to just blame it all on like glowy shit and just dismiss it as that, because like it's undeniable that people are angry, and this is the thing. I get why they're angry. I get it, and I don't want to dismiss that. That's the thing. I don't want to dismiss that. It's like, oh, nobody's that angry enough to do all that. It's like, no. They are. There absolutely are. Like that Buffalo shooter, whatever. Like they're saying, like, oh, he's like a glowy or whatever. Doesn't matter. Or the Hotep shooter or whatever. Like these people were real people, and they were driven mad enough to do something. Whether a Fed like kind of like led them on that way or not doesn't matter. The fact is that they were angry enough to be honeypotted, if you want to think about it like that. Well, like that anger is real.
It does matter because that anger, that righteous anger, was redirected in just a complete act of just impotent nihilism.
What I'm saying is,
go ahead.
What I'm saying is that they would have done something or another, one way or another, and their motive, like the manifesto, almost doesn't matter,
dude. They wouldn't. I don't even know. This is like these stories you hear about, like the Feds groom like retarded kids to go and shoot up schools and shit. Like this stuff does happen, and yeah, I mean, like I don't want to like deny that, like the alienation and the anger that these people feel. It's like, oh, that isn't completely manufactured by the Feds, but like undeniably, they have a false consciousness. They are where they are directing this frustration and this alienation is wrong and bad. And even in a way, like, even if I like, outside of making the argument that like it's morally wrong and that it's an absolute horrifying thing that they're killing innocent people, which is absolutely true, right? It's not politically useful at all. This accomplishes fucking nothing. Yeah. This is a win for the fucking state and the ruling class because they want to continue to develop this boogeyman. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That's like the Pulse nightclub, right? It was some fucking retarded Muslim kid, right? It stoked the boogeyman of Islamofascism and domestic, Muslim terrorism, right? Well, that was a fucking bunch of drummed up bullshit. And it's the same thing with white supremacy. These people have some kind of, like I said already, I'm going to repeat myself, this righteous anger and alienation. And of course, I don't want to deny that. But yeah, I mean, they're absolutely having someone sneak in at the 11th hour and direct it in a way that just reinforces the state's authority. And that's fucking bad. That's fucking bad. And we could acknowledge that that's fucking bad without saying that the source of the anger is illegitimate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that I think a lot of time it's like people talking past each other when it's like, oh, this is a psyop, or no, this was something that was actually genuine. It's like, no, it's like what you're saying here. It's coming from a genuine place, and then it's siloed into this fucked up shit. Like all of this stuff is ultimately like, I don't think that they went out and they were like, we're going to find a crisis actor. We're going to pay him a lot of money or a mercenary to go out and just shoot all these people and write a fake manifesto and then say that it's this and that. But they definitely found someone that's vulnerable on the edge, who has rage in them, who is alienated, and then you honeypot these people and you bait these people and you keep fucking them up in the head and you keep exposing them to just crazy bullshit. Like, that's how he got there in the first place. It's just being exposed to crazy bullshit. And then you get into a fucking area where you can start getting honeypotted because we've got such a goddamn sick fucking culture, sick ass fucking political economy that's making people sick in the head. And then you can go and you can find people who are a little sick in the head, rightfully so, because we all are pretty sick in the head now just from living in this goddamn schizophrenic fucking society. And you can take those people and you can just press the right buttons and boom, 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 wind them up like a doll, and then they go shoot the fuck out of people. And then boom, it's a win for you and your establishment because now you can say, oh, this guy was actually looking at memes that were of a political nature, and this guy was on 4chan, and this guy actually uses terms that Tucker Carlson used on, and blah, blah. And he had these guns with these attachments and these states and this and that and that. I mean, fuck, dude. Fuck. Every one of these shootings always happens to have an AR-15. Every single one of these things always happens to have, oh, this person was radicalized by these specific boogeyman platforms that are the target of censorship narratives. It always hits the same fucking things, dude. Always. Like, and the fact is that like there are tons and tons of cases of these things basically just being orchestrated by the feds that we already know about. We already know these. This is Whitmer thing. It's not a mass shooting, but that was an entrapment where they were trying to, get someone to commit what is considered an act of terror. And they just straight up admitted that the feds were honeypotting them in court, and then they had to drop the charges. What the fuck, dude? Yeah,
exactly. Like the legal system and access to information work is functional enough to where like there are plenty of examples where like the record does show that like this shit was just conspiracy and it was just like feds fucking around with stuff. And there are enough examples of it that like, at the very least, honestly, it's like I feel bad because I feel like we're just rambling over you. But my last point is just like, it's if nothing else, it's like my point about body snatchers when we were talking about teal bucks, right? It's just like introducing the concept of like, well, some of these shootings are going to be legit. Some of these are going to be fucking feds, right? Operating on that, the basic arithmetic, right? You kind of have to assume it's feds, dude. You kind of have to assume that this shit is feds, because like at the very least, like the worst of it is if it's like some lone gunman who's just totally deranged and like, oh, that's like really sad. And, I guess better mental health care. Sure. Right. At the worst of the other end of the spectrum, though, there's like a rogue agency within the government that's murdering private citizens to fucking further the interests of the state and the deep state. Like that's huge. You have to operate on the assumption that that's what's happening.
And on the other end of the spectrum, it's got nothing to goddamn do with mental fucking health care. It's just make the fucking society less fucked, dude. Make people less, like, stop just trying to break people down, separate people, alienate people. Stop having fucking satanic fucking Twitter and TikTok shit making people's brains twisted up and crazy, dude. Like, that is the mental health aspect. It's not about go to a goddamn therapist. It's about we need to stop twisting people up and fucking them up. And the way we do that is by fixing economic problems, trying to wean down some of this cultural crazy bullshit, and also just trying to push back against the fucking tech singularity and the transhumanism. All of that is pushing into these people becoming alienated. It's making people sick in the head. And then these feds are coming in and then they're pressing buttons and they're doing this and all that. It's both of these things, but it's not the mental health, and it's not just specifically feds. It's about, this is a sick society. Then we have sick people, feds that are seeking out people on the edge, and they're pushing them. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't be able to push them if we weren't living in such a sick fucking society in the first goddamn place. But also, they might not probably wouldn't do the things that they're doing if they weren't pushed by the feds.
Speak on it, brother.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get what you guys are saying. I just feel like it strikes me more as shock doctrine, because like COVID doesn't strike me as shock doctrine. COVID seems too perfect. But this sort of thing, it's very messy and sprawling, and there's always there's always like different motives and different manifestos and different motivations and all this. It seems more chaotic, and it seems like more organic. And like you guys said, then some people come through and guide it in the last stretch, some feds or whatever. To me, that strikes me as more like shock doctrine, or like, oh, after it happens, maybe organically, now we can use this as like a reason to censor, which is just another Band-Aid. You censor things, you don't get rid of why people are angry. You just make them more angry. That's not going to solve anything, obviously. But I don't know, man. It just strikes me that like every time there's a mass shooting, everyone says it's feds. And like, I get Slav's like body snatcher example, but like, I don't know, man. There's something about it that just seems like denying reality. It just seems to deny that, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, if we abolish the feds, nobody's going to do any mass shootings. It's like, bro, like,
no, of course
people
not.
are fucking pissed. I understand why they're doing it. I understand why they're doing it. Like, I get it. I think they're wrong. I mean, I don't even need to make the point that it's wrong or like it's not going to solve it. Shooting a bunch of black people or a bunch of white people at some grocery is not going to solve anything. Obviously, I don't even know why I need to say that, but like, I understand why someone would be so pissed and so warped online that they would think that that's going to solve something. I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't want to dismiss it all as Fed shit. I just don't want to do that. And like, it just seems like everybody does, and it just seems like everything is Fed shit, and like every protest is AstroTurf, and every, you know, like, I don't know, man. There's something about that just seems like so denying reality. And like, I mean, people are opportunistic too about it. Like, oh, you know, everybody waits to see what the race is of the mass shooter before they decide what everybody's, you know, in their camp, they're like waiting, and then they decide whether, oh, he's a lone wolf guided by the feds. You know, if you're on the right and he's white, then he's a lone wolf guided by the feds. If he's black, it's genocide, white genocide perpetrated by the elites. Or if you're on the left and he's black, oh, he's like a lone wolf. But if he's white, it's black genocide perpetrated by the elites. You know, it's everybody picks and chooses and is opportunistic, and they wait. And I think it's kind of disgusting, honestly. Like, I don't like to make moral value judgments or whatever. Yeah. It's kind of disgusting the way people just like wait for the opportunism of all of it. But look, either way, all I'm saying is like, I don't want to deny how real it is and how far people are at the margins and give all the weight to the feds. I don't want to do that, because like, I get that they've got their hands on things and they're pushing buttons. I totally get that. But like, they're pushing every button. Like they're in every protest and every mass shooter. I don't believe that. I think people are losing their fucking minds. And I think, you know, it's like that idea of like, oh, you can't get mad at someone being crazy if the society is crazy, right? Like, he's supposed to be crazy because the society is fucking crazy. It only makes sense. You're weird if you're sane through all this crazy shit. To me, if all this crazy shit is going on and you stay perfectly sane, something's wrong with you. That's really how I feel. You know what I mean? Like, I don't agree with any of these mass shooter people, but like, at least they see that things are fucked up and they like.
There's something
resonates with me.
I don't think that these people. I mean, I don't know. I think there's some motherfuckers that are just like driven by that are fucked in the head and then driven by evil. Like I think that's a fact. I don't think that it's like, oh, these people are like using righteous indignation. Yeah, dude. There are people that have been okay. I'm not talking about specifically these individuals with manifestos or whatever, but there are motherfuckers that have been going out and shooting up schools for no goddamn reason for years. Nothing to do with political manifestos. Yeah, but it's not them sitting here saying, "Oh, everything's so fucked. I'm gonna go do something." It's I'm fucking mad. I'm dejected, and this is something that it's not like they're not like making some valiant stand, dude. It's like.
To them, they are. The Columbine guy, the Virginia Tech guy. To them, they thought they were making some. They all say that. They all say that they're making some stand against society. Like they say that. They all say that. There's a common thread with all of them. I mean, it's never for no reason. That's what I'm saying. Like even that Paddock thing. Like he's supposed to just be some Fed, right? Like that's the idea is that like he's just a Fed and like there's no motive because. What's the general theory? Is the theory that like
he removed a 900-pound plate glass window by himself with no noise. He did he carried like 400 pounds.
No, I mean what's the motive? What's the Fed's motive? I mean,
there's what's the Fed's motive?
Is to ban assault weapons.
I mean, to be honest, the Paddock thing is such a grand scale that I don't even know if we could really decide on a single thing. And
also terror, like just
the Paddock thing, you don't even want to touch on because well, that's another thing. The Paddock thing, I don't even think we should touch on because it is so. I mean, dude, like his brother got caught with like hundreds of fucking. Like just an insane amount of child pornography. Like his Paddock's house got burned down a couple days into the investigation. They like said that like he just had bump stock AR-15s, but like the rate of fire was really like more like LMG machine gun. Like it literally like Paddock is one of those things where like it's so clear that there was something else going on, and it's like by a huge margin the biggest mass shooting in U.S. in I think just in history. Right. And like we have no idea what kind of motive the guy would have even possibly had. Right. So like Paddock is like the shoe in of like the most obvious Glowy.
Gotcha.
I'm at least going to entertain the idea that with this Buffalo one, it was Buffalo, right? This latest thing.
Yeah.
I'll at least entertain the idea that he was like legit. Paddock is like just a normal guy that just got. I mean, there's literally zero chance that Las Vegas was legit at all.
Gotcha.
Dude, I just think this whole debate we're having here is honestly more of just an indictment of like the environment in which discourse plays out generally, and more of just a case for like post-partisanship generally, right? Of just like, yes, the framing makes it seem like we talk about the involvement of feds and the role of like parapolitics and deep state politics as if the material complaints that these people who are deeply alienated have is just like not at all legitimate. And that becomes a real issue because it is just like this weird, like bumpers on a bowling alley kind of framing, right? Where there's no faction that's really talking about the factors that drove these people, right? Like that's a legitimate complaint, right? But it's mostly just about the discourse and the kind of framing that happens there. And that's not really a complicated issue in my mind. You know what I mean? That's just like, yeah, I mean, fucking the way Twitter is just like not good for discourse. That's just what that is in my mind. It's not super complicated.
You're not understanding. It's a binary, bro. It's either the feds just went out and snatched this dude up and put a gun in his hand and MK Ultra'd him, or he's making a valiant stand. There's no in-betweens.
And again, like the huge protest movements, right? It's like, yeah, I mean, like I don't think anyone would like deny. Well, okay, I'm not going to say that. Plenty of people would deny, but like obviously the protests a couple years ago, which I'll go on record to say, like totally fucking just bullshit psyops, right? Were so widespread and there was so much buy-in from people because people were fucking pissed about COVID and were pissed about fucking lockdowns or just fucking you name it. I think it was mostly fucking lockdowns and just a lot of pent-up anxiety.
police brutality actually, because pigs are always fucking people's shit up for poor people always. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll push back on that just because, again, like I see it as kind of like a Roe v. Wade thing, where it's just like, it's like that shit's been happening forever, but then now during this unprecidented crisis,
they pour gasoline on fire. They put out 400 TikToks of black teenagers getting shot.
We're gonna focus on this thing that's been going on for fucking decades, while everyone's experiencing this insane thing that no one's ever experienced before. I don't really know. I'm not going to say that 0% of it was police brutality. But like, I think maybe to the extent that police brutality was a part of it, it's probably because there was a huge political machines structure put in place of NGO with Black Lives Matter years before that was just primed and ready to create it. But I mean, like, so yeah, you had this huge mobilization because it was honest frustration, but like, you know, you had people up above that were directing it in completely impotent ways. I mean, again, like they accomplished nothing. Of course, they accomplished absolutely nothing. You know, so and again, like the January 6th stuff could have accomplished something, but of course it didn't. You know, and it comes down to kind of what we were talking about earlier about just like the parties at the end of the day of like, yeah, dude, we gotta vote blue, we gotta vote red, but like, why don't these people ever fucking accomplish shit, dude? Why don't they? Oh, well, maybe the framing and the game itself is fucking rigged, right? And like, yeah, dude, just one more fucking protest, just one more big thing to engage in to express my frustration in this grand romantic act of catharsis. But again, it's not going to do anything. And why is that? Maybe somebody's fucking with this shit. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this has been an age-old debate. It's kind of like, I don't, you know,
chicken or the egg.
Yeah. I don't even want to get too far into it again because like we always have this debate. I just
I don't understand. There's no debate. It's just both, dude. It's just both.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just feel like
you're trying to force out what level of which one is. It's just both, dude. People are mad. People are fucked up. People are twisted in the head. And also, people are driving things in the wrong direction for their benefit. I mean, what the fuck? Of course. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just feel like, no, I think that, that's exactly what you guys are saying. And I mean, I just, you know, I just look at everything that's going on and I just feel like it would only seem perfectly rational to me that there would be more. I mean, I don't mean rational as in I'm encouraging this. All I'm saying is that it would not shock me if there was more civil unrest every day, if there was more domestic terrorism every day, if there were more mass shootings every day. It would not shock me at all because the way things are going, things are completely fucked and it cannot be overstated. And people freaking out and reacting to it only makes logical sense. It's like causal chains to me. It's like, of course they would.
Yeah, of course. So,
you know what I mean? And then the reasons on top of that after the AstroTurf or the SAB or the Fed or whatever, and the valiant righteousness that they add on top of it, their motives, all that I don't even really listen to. As fucked as that sounds, like when they say like, oh, you know, you talk to these people, like, what do they even really say? Like, I don't mean to be demeaning, but like, you know, you ask someone why they're out there or whatever, they're like, yeah, I'm just like protesting racism. What does that even mean, man? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I'm just out here because I need to stop, you know, the white genocide, the great replacement, whatever. I feel like if you really press that kid on like what he means, I don't think he even really knows what he means. I don't think anybody really knows what they're talking about. I think they're all just that raw anger is there. His wherever he's from or whatever is going around him is just getting worse. And he's just angry and he goes out and he does this. And the motives and everything are just like, again, it's like what we were talking before. It's like aesthetic fashion dressing on top of it. It's just something to give it a name. And they'll only let you give it a name to something that will never happen. You'll never get a white ethno state. You'll never get rid of racism. They'll only allow these things because you'll never get them because they're fantasies, right? But the real things that really are bothering you, that can never be addressed. And you can't even put words to it. So you have to find these other words, these other things that are in the online space or whatever, and put it to it. And you go out and you do something and you think you're doing something and you're not doing anything. But, you know, I just don't want to deny that it makes sense. It makes sense to me. Their actions make sense. Their reasons don't. That if that, maybe I'm botching the way I'm trying to word this, but like their actions make sense to me in a logical sense, or like a causal sense. But the rationale they provide after is just it's almost like not even worth listening to. That's how I feel about it. Like they would have been drawn to something. Like, you know, like those people that came out to join ISIS that were from other countries or whatever that flew in and to join the caliphate, and they're not even from the area. They're not even from there. Like they were just disaffected in their hometown. Like people, they want some calling, and if there's some calling, they'll come to it. But they're open to anything, you know. And it's just like, oh, I'm black, so I have to go to this one, or I'm Arab, so I'll go to this one. Like they just, or I'm white, I'm supposed to take this cause up. Like they just go to the vacuum. But like they want some type of expression of their frustration, and they just fall into these traps or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know. Yeah, maybe I'm just rambling, but like, yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. Like, it makes sense to me.
No, I think we all are basically of the same mind. It's just like I got that extra little layer on top of just like it. This frustration does have a material basis. It's a useful. I mean, well, I'll hold off there a little bit. This stuff can be like a read of what the temperature in the room is like, right? Like you could probably look at how many, this is like not blowing anybody's mind, but like, yeah, maybe how many mass shootings there are. Well, I'm not going to say mass shooting because that's a poisoned term, but like terrorism. How many acts of well, I don't even want to use that.
Well,
term.
Even that, yeah.
how many just like horrible public acts of violence, right?
Yeah.
That's probably a pretty reasonable indicator of a society's health, general health,
absolutely.
Right? I don't think that most people are gonna deny that, right? It's just that like there's another angle of that, right? And I think that
there are sicker individuals who are trying to plod these other sick people into another more sick direction.
Well, and because it is a way of like articulating that frustration and that alienation, wouldn't it make sense for factions of the elite to like take control of those expressions and like have them play out in terms that they're in control of?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Of course. So I mean, it's just like the discourse does it a disservice, but like these things aren't mutually exclusive at all. They literally are in online discourse, just given like media environment limitations and again, just like this weird fucking like procured consumer identity that comes with political ideology. But no, like these things aren't mutually exclusive at all.
Yeah, I agree. But you guys in general would say there's obviously be less without Fed involvement, but you guys would say it like you guys feel like a significant amount would be less without Fed involvement. Like,
I don't fucking know, man. I mean, I'm not gonna sign on to something that specific.
Here's the thing: there would be more people doing more other sick shit that may be different. Like, the first documented like serial killer was like in the late 1900s. And people have been serial killing, not late 1900s, sorry, the early 1900s. And people have been serial killing since. That just came out of nowhere, bro. Like post-industrialization, because shit's fucked up. Like that was, you know, right on the way towards like Great Depression, right before First World Wars. Shit was about to pop off in one way or another. And now, and all of a sudden people it's just an externality of a fucking severely sick, twisted, fucked up, evil, anti-life, everything, like system, politics, economic system, all of it. It's externalities. And there are individuals who are driving those in certain ways, for sure, for their own benefit.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I completely.
And I think this is also like, I think it has to be pointed out that like, this is something that I think Logo Daedalus of all people has a really good point on that he put in words that I really liked, which is just like the way that Western interests, the way that Western intelligence basically managed our colonial holdings all through the 20th century with this kind of like this terrain, this landscape of mirrors. I forget exactly the phrase he used. Like That's come home now, and we are being managed that way now.
Oh, yes.
And so, yeah, man. I mean, just like in third world fucking countries with a Western occupying force in them, this is by no means new. It's new to us. Right. And yeah, I think a huge part of it is like, I think this fucking literally this disagreement and debate that we are having is a perfect example happening in real time right here of just like this function that this strategy has of just being like, what is up, what is down, what's black, what's white, what the fuck is even going on, what is an authentic display of alienation and frustration, and what is not.
It's cliche.
It's insane, dude. And that's true, and that's where it does for me come down to like, you know, who has teal bucks, who doesn't. You got to act as if everybody does. Who's a Fed, who isn't. When it's a fucking mass shooter, you gotta basically assume, given the outcomes of either of these situations, you kind of have to operate on the assumption that it all is, right? Is that me saying that everyone is? Absolutely not. Far from it, right? But just the logic of it, you kind of, you know. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I mean, I don't know if I make that same assumption, but I get what you're saying. But yeah, the managing, the way they manage the other countries, yeah, that's 100% what's happening here. I mean, I've always felt like the American elites view this as colonized land for sure. They view America as colonized land, absolutely, in my mind. But yeah, I mean, do you guys want to go in about anything like small on the side?